and then we were just kind of lost. Right, Chris?
Yeah. Like you're right. Like the building itself was Hall A, but PAX labeled it as C. So like we're looking at our back of our badge for this map, and we couldn't find this room, but yet it's not a room. It's just the expo hall, a part of that. So we were really confused. And once we figured it out, yeah, it was easy. But like at first we were like, we don't know where we are. But you go ahead.
Well, what I was gonna say is, what they did when I was at PAX East, me, Fran, and Matt all sat down with these championship mahjong players, and they basically showed you how to play mahjong. It was something that you see in all these. I'm a huge kung fu movie buff, so something you see in a lot of Asian films, especially when it takes place in martial arts eras, is mahjong. So we're like, oh man, this is really cool. Like we'll sit down. Like I never played it. I wonder how it's actually played. Not gonna go into it, but it is absolutely ridiculous. And what they did was we went up there, we basically got in queue, and they text me when I was up. They were like, what's your phone number? What's your phone number? They texted me. I had 10 minutes to get over there, so we didn't wander too far, and that's the respectable thing to do in any case. So we didn't wander too far. We got the text. We went over, and then they were finishing up the other game. So the table's not sitting there empty, but then you wait your 5 minutes and you hopped on. That's perfect. Can you expect everyone to do that? Well, maybe it should be a standard that everyone has some system. Well, I mean, you can't make it a standard, but people who are really trying to show off their game should really have some system in order to keep people comfortable and going back. And that also stops people from queuing up to a bunch of games and thinking they're going to do it that way. It's like, nah, man, you got to kind of pick what you want to do and be there. Because if you went around and queued up to a bunch of games, you're sitting down now for a half an hour, 45 minutes, your phone's going off. It's like, now you're just wasting everyone's time. Because they're technically waiting for you. So now the game creator, I don't know if we would call them, are they developers for board games? Is that what we call them? I guess we'll say the creator.
I would say so.
Yeah. So I guess the developer, the designers would be wasting their time texting a bunch of people who aren't going to show. There's no real easy way to solve that, but I suppose doing it better could make it a better experience for everyone who attends. Older, younger, doesn't matter who you are. If you're a casual game player, people really just don't want to sit around for too long. Do you guys have any highlights of games that you are sure you want to get, or even games that you just thought looked cool, maybe didn't play, just some notable stuff? Chris, we'll start with you.
We played a lot of stuff. We didn't play a lot of stuff, but we played a good amount of things. We did walk around the show floor maybe about 45 minutes an hour, just kind of aimlessly walking around, seeing what was there. And the show floor wasn't huge, it's kind of hard because the whole floor is huge, but where the designers or the vendors wasn't that big. I felt it was big enough. It could have been bigger, but I don't know. It was good enough for us, I guess.
Okay.
But there was a couple games we saw. There was that Clack game that Kev played. I have a video of him. It's kind of like a magnetic reverse air hockey. Like you're moving the magnet underneath the table to move your player to like bounce a ball into like your opponent's area. And there's other ways to score. It was kind of neat. Kev said it was pretty cool, and Kev doesn't really like I think Kev's a hard audience and he enjoyed it, so that kind of gets a big thumbs up.
Yeah.
And we played another one, that Flamme Rouge, which is like, a bike racing game. It's kind of like Formula D. And we really like that. And James liked it so much that he actually bought a copy and brought it home. So
wow.
I think it's pretty good.
Well, one thing that I didn't even put this into perspective. I'm thinking everything is D&D or like really involved games. But I didn't even think of stuff like Clack, where it's just like a tactile experience, like Crossfire or Weapons and Warrior, stuff like that. So I would think that there'd probably be some interesting stuff out there with that, with that kind of gameplay. Even like technically, like Connect 4 is like a board game. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
So, that kind of stuff. Pieces and puzzles. Corey, what about you? Oh no, I'm sorry. Go ahead. Well,
yeah, no, it's cool. On the forums, people were saying they were having problems with finding, like RPG games, and I really didn't think of PAX Unplugged as like a D&D, a place to go play D&D.
Okay.
I don't know if that's something different, but I really didn't expect that to be, and I didn't really see any of it. Maybe that's what people were complaining of. They were wanting to go play D&D, and they weren't able to.
But you could see how that might be someone's, like I just said it. You know what I mean? That could totally be someone's mindset of, only because of the games that our group of friends normally plays when we get together are usually pretty involved. So if that's what somebody does on a regular basis, and they're like PAX Unplugged for board games, we play these games, when really you could have went there and playing Candyland, Monopoly, or whatever. So I guess you kind of have to have an open mind. I don't expect PAX to be all fighting games, but I guess you got to have an open mind for that kind of thing. Corey, do you have any games that you really want to talk about?
Chris mentioned the Palace of Magic in Ludwig. That is something that I was kind of on the fence of when I saw that it was announced, and which is the reason why I wanted to play it. It's a game that Andrea and I must have played 40 times right now. It's something that we take when we go away on vacation, and we play like every other night. So they were making kind of it's kind of a sequel, but it's more a co-op version, which is why I wanted to get my hands on it to try to see how different it was. And it will be something that I definitely will be picking up, because we just like the original, and I think this is a good twist. I did see Fog of Love there. It's a Kickstarter game that I backed a while ago that I should be receiving soon. It's more of like it's kind of like a relationship game. Something that I guess you play like husband and wife or boyfriend and girlfriend. And I just was very intrigued when I heard about the game. I wanted to sit down and try it while I was there. But it's a tough thing when you're with a group, because there's only 2 people that can play the game. So it's like, well, I can jump in and play this and then have other 6 people just kind of wander around. Or, I kept going back to Flame Rouge to find out when we could play. And everyone kept looking at me like, well, why are you going back here? Well, you have to put your time in if you want to play something, or else you're just going to walk around aimlessly, which we did for a while. So those are the 2 games that I was definitely interested in. I'm glad I got to see them. Another one was Rising Sun, I believe is the name. It's from Cool Mini or Not. I got to see just the board and people playing it and the miniatures, and I was thrilled. Didn't need to play the game. I know it's going to be coming in a few months, but just to see the actual miniatures sculpted in person, and that kind of sounds silly. Like, oh, cool, I got to see the pieces, but it's like seeing the graphics in a video game. Like, oh man, I can't wait to actually get my hands on it and play it. And that's what I got out of that game too. So those were like my top 3 that I saw. The one disappointment that was not there is an upcoming Star Wars miniature game called Legion, and it was showcased in Gen Con, Essen, and I even think at Board Game Geek the week before, and I was expecting, to Chris's point, a demo to be set up. It's kind of like a miniature type game, so think of it as Warhammer, but that's a game where you could demo. Like, here's your army, you didn't have to spend time making it, and you can play through a turn or 2 to see how it works. That's what I was hoping to see there, and it was not. I didn't even get to see the miniatures, so I was a little disappointed from Fantasy Flight. They did have a booth, and they showed like Fallout. Fallout was there. You could try that game out, but I really wasn't that interested in trying that. I really just wanted to see these Star Wars miniatures, but fortunately, that was the only thing that I did not get a chance to see.
That's a shame. That's just like, I saw Hyper Light Drifter in the next 2 or 3 years in PAX. It wasn't there.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? And
you're like, oh, this is the hype. This is what's going to be there. And it's not. You're like, oh, okay.
They're showing it off in Australia like 4 times a year, and the PAX not there. It sucks.
Right.
It's interesting you brought up the point about seeing the pieces for a game, because for me personally, when I play with you guys, I'm picking my dude off the pieces. Like, I think I think the characters and the sculpts add a lot. I make stupid voices when we play for characters and stuff, and it's different playing a game like Descent if you just have a little piece that looks like a sorry piece and this is your character. Right. You know what I mean? Versus a dude with his bow and arrow with one leg on top of a lion, and you're immediately the most badass dude in the game. Or you feel like it as the character. You feel like it, just like picking a character in a video game. Like, yo, I'm this guy, and this is how I'm actually going to play into what my character, or how I feel my character looks like.
Yep.
I'm going to play into that maybe a little bit, and it makes the game a little bit more immersive as opposed to maybe just trying to roll to win. I'm like, no, I'm going to take this risk because my dude's an animal. I take the risk and you fail. It's like, whatever.
At least I got my lion still.
Yeah. At least my character looks cool while he's dead. You know, that's how I feel about that. What do you guys feel would be some? I know we talked a little bit about it, but just some general improvements for the convention. Corey, we'll start with you.
Improvements. I kind of, you touched base on it, Doug. I think it would be cool to hand out some tickets to demo. But it can't solely be that. Maybe there could be a fast pass for maybe the first 4 people, or I'm just saying there might be a cool way to do it, but it can't solely be like that because the first 8 people that show up to an hour-long game, well, that's it. It's like, oh, I can't believe you're already not sold out, but like I can't demo your game because we got here. But maybe having like 1 or 2, handouts or maybe like a giveaway. Chris, there were no like raffles or giveaways.
Well, they're smaller companies, this isn't, EA with $40 billion. This is, a couple people who put a game together over the weekend that happened to be really good and have a couple $1,000,
Yeah.
I wasn't really expecting any swag. There's never, it's really like you and I created a game and put our heart and soul into it and, put a second mortgage on our house. I really think that's a lot of these board game, indie people have, start.
Gotcha. Okay, good point.
That makes sense.
I can't imagine them handing out T-shirts, to their, their $40 million game, Although Rambo did hand out, headbands, but that was about the only swag I really saw.
Well, having a queue system or time slots, I guess that just involves creating or maybe researching your own game and how long are our demos going to be? There's got to be a limit, right? So maybe instead of letting people sit down for 45 minutes to learn all the mechanics, well, you can do what you can do in a half hour. We're here at 11. We're going to sit down. We're going to start at 11:05 after we get to know each other because, you want to talk to the guy maybe a little bit. And he wants to explain who he is and his game and why it's good. And then you play for 25 minutes. And it's like, all right, guys, that's really all the time we have. We have time for the next people. And in that case, you really don't have to stand in line. You can, there's a balance there because people are going to go around and maybe try to sign up for stuff. But, hey, it's like anywhere else, right? Like if there's something specific that you wanted to play and you want to 100% make sure you get to do it, maybe you need to be in line at 7:30 when the place opens at 10.
Right.
And,
Doug, I think you bring up a really good point that could solve that. So we didn't actually go to any of the big panels where they just had people talk. But if they just had a smaller room, I'm going to use Fallout, for instance. I didn't want to wait around to play that game. But if there was a 3:00 session of Fallout in a room and someone was going to talk through how the game was played, and then, 4 people from, I'll say, the audience went up and played along, I would watch that. Because it's hard to watch people play a game because you can't hear as they're explaining the rules, and if you come in 10 minutes late, you don't know what's going on. But if there was a timetable of like, oh, hey, you want to learn about Fallout, come to this room, and we'll explain the whole thing to you, show the components, and you can see some people demo it, hey, I would be all about that, too. I think that would be some way to improve it.
Right. I think that's actually not a bad idea. Like have maybe a stream going or something where people can look at a screen and watch other people play. That'd be kind of cool.
Yep.
And you can see all the mechanics. Chris, I don't know if you're getting a phone call or something, but you have a ton of interference coming from your mic. It's like breaking my ear.
Sorry.
Okay.
I have no idea.
But yeah, it's one of those things where in that setting the balance is almost impossible because unless the people at PAX enforce a standard across the show floor, people are going to do it their own way. I had a very similar experience, actually, at PAX East trying to play a game of Thumper, where we go in the line. I only see 8 people in line at Thumper, right? It's a PSVR game. Everybody's going through the VR stuff and queuing up for hours. Doesn't matter what it is. You could go into VR and look at a floating sphere